Господја Коен, ви благодарам што сте со Гласот на Америка. Македонски судии и новинари беа во Бостон за одблиску да видат како функционира американскиот судски систем. Зошто ова важно за нив, особено во борбата против корупицијата?
Well, Igor, happy to be with you, first of all. And it was it was a really wonderful experience to have our journalists and judges from North Macedonia, members of the Judiciary Media Council. I spent 3 days with them, taking them into several of our courts, taking them to my newspaper, the Boston Globe, and trying to give them a broad look at how our courts operate, how media operates in the courts, and how I also serve on my Judiciary Media Committee here in Boston, how we work together with our judges to work out problems that are of mutual concern. So our system is not perfect. We think it's rather open. And I am happy to help Macedonian judges and journalists go through the same process that we went through here in order to get cameras in the courtroom, in order to get better and faster access to records that we need to do our jobs here. So that's how I spent my time with them, and I hope it was time well spent for them.
Со какво искуство тие ќе се вратат од сад назад и што од тоа можат да имплементираат во Северна Македонија?
Two big things. First, you get more accomplished by working together, by judges and journalists, looking for common ground, trying to find those things they can agree on that will, in the end, make courts more open, make judges' lives a little easier, and make journalists' lives a little easier so that they can report back to their readers. And so the judges don't always have to be making the same decisions over and over again about which records are available, which courtrooms are open. Those should be matters that are worked out well ahead of time. So both of those things, working together and working together toward a common goal, and that common goal ought to be more openness in the courtroom.
Како ќе знаеме дека одредена судска одлука е фер ако таа воопшто не е јавна?
Open courtrooms, transparent judicial proceedings are good for the judiciary. I mean, yes, they're good for journalists because it allows us to do our jobs more easily. But at the end of the day, this is about giving credibility to the judiciary. When courtrooms are open and people can see for themselves or through the eyes of the media what is going on in those courtrooms, then that raises the credibility of the judges who are in charge. If people can't see what is going on in their own courts, then courts really have a problem winning the hearts and minds and convincing the public that what they are doing every day is fair.
Ако судските процеси се јавни, тие во живо се пренесуваат од самите судови. Како тоа ќе се рефлектира врз перцепцијата врз корупцијата и правосудниот систем?
Supreme Judicial Court, so the highest court in Massachusetts, live streams its proceedings. And not only live streams them, it archives them. So if you want to go back and watch a session of the Supreme Judicial Court from even a year ago or several years ago, it's available online. You can sit at your computer and watch it. When a decision comes down, and their decisions are all in writing. It's sometimes useful to go back and see what that hearing was like. Sometimes can take 2 or 3 months to render its written decision after oral argument. They live stream their sessions, but they also allow a camera if one of the TV outlets wanted to have its own camera in the courtroom, they can do that. But that's the only court in Massachusetts that actually live streams its own proceedings. Other than that, cameras in the courtroom are allowed. They are certainly in there for high-profile trials, but they are the work of media outlets. And our photojournalists have what is called a pool. So the journalists from a variety of TV networks will agree on who will be the one camera in that courtroom for each day of say a long trial, because there are only 2 cameras allowed in the courtroom. So, but it's the media that does that, and the media that makes that decision about who will be in the courtroom. But that's just for cameras. Doesn't apply to reporters. We can come and go as we please.
Ако има камери при судско рочиште, дали со тоа може да се намали корупцијата?
There are no statistics on that, but I think certainly political corruption trials are very high-profile trials, certainly in this state. Now, unfortunately, some of them are in federal court, and there are no cameras in federal court, but the proceedings are still quite open to reporters with their laptops, and exhibits that are introduced in federal court are available via photograph. So every time an exhibit is presented in the courtroom, a photograph of that exhibit can be released by the prosecution or the defense in a political corruption trial in federal court. So there are some ways around that system. I wish there were cameras in federal court. I wish there were cameras at the U.S. Supreme Court, which is desperately in need of a bit more credibility at this point in its history. But no system is perfect. In Massachusetts, I always tell my visiting Macedonian friends that we don't have one system here. We have 51 systems. So every state has its own judicial system plus the federal system. And I think more often than not, Massachusetts has gotten it right. And some of the other states, and certainly the federal system, could use a little improvement. But the more open things are, yes, the more credibility the court has, and it is one tool for fighting corruption, and it's an important tool.
Госпоѓа Коен, ви благодарам за разговорот.
My pleasure.